Get them fired up and get them to the staging lanes, baby, because EZMile Apparel is now carrying Glowing Bracket Racing merch. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more can be yours today.
Casey and George back here as we are every single Tuesday at 5 Eastern, 4 Central Time, Glowing Bracket Racing Live. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the share button if you're on Facebook and get all this out there for everybody to see. It's November 28th, 2023. You got to thank TSR Racing Products. Get out there and get your Power Glides, Turbo 350s, Turbo 400s, and 727 transmission parts for the wintertime. BRG, 3D printed parts, anything you need, Brian Garrett will print it up for you. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas. Hey, man, it's PRI time. You might need some of those brochures, shirts, stickers, anything you need last minute. Call Syntex Printing. They'll get it out to you for PRI. Driven Racing Oil. Use code GBR10. Get yourself 10% off your order. ProForm Parts. Visit ProFormParts.com for your carburetors, alternators, starters, radiators, distributors, tools, and much, much more. And, of course, Crew Chief Pro Software. Contact Don at crewchiefpro.com. And don't forget, he's extended, I think, his Cyber Monday deal, his Black Friday deal for his weather stations. You get those, I think, paging stations are one, and you got your regular weather stations for another. But definitely go to crewchiefpro.com and take advantage of that deal, because you definitely need to know what's going on with the weather to determine what your race car is doing. And if you want to get some GBR merch, you want a hat like this, you want a shirt like what I got on, or a shirt like what George has on, EZMileApparel.com. That's where you get it. So, George, that being said, man, I got to tell you one thing. I was just scrolling through Facebook before we got on here, and evidently Jose Gonzalez is getting ready to reset the Outlaw Pro Mod record. He led off early and went 539 with a 6 or something.
Yeah, I saw that. I expected you to say something about that too.
That was the last record.
No, cutting out and letting off there. I can't remember whose car he's driving, but
Mark Mickey's car.
Hauling the mail is all I know.
Yeah.
Gee, it's getting it done.
Yeah, man, it wouldn't surprise me if it went down to the 20s tonight. I mean, it's going to be nuts. But anyway, we're bracket racers, George.
Hey,
you know how I am. You know how I am. I get off on those pro mod kicks every once in a while, but I forget my wallet's empty. So, that being said.
Says the guy who probably wound up in the pro mod before anybody I know, getting ready to have that old Verge car and stuff like that too, that old 470 car you building. So,
yeah, we'll see. It's a big difference between those two things. But anyway,
wallets probably make quite a bit of a difference in that change. But,
it seems like.
Yeah, man. Hey, coming up at that time of the year, Casey, everybody knows it, like you know it, like I know it. Guess it's about to get boring here for the next couple of months, and no drag racing, at least. We won't be able to go drag racing. So make sure you guys have that subscribe button clicked. Make sure you're sharing with your friends and family. That way, when you are bored, you can just jump on over here to GBR. You won't be bored anymore. We'll figure out a way to keep you entertained throughout the off season. Today's going to be one of those episodes, I think, Casey, as we haven't quite kicked off the winter series yet. I think it's a good thing as well. I think we got perfect timing with PRI coming into the show, into the mix next week, where you and I will both be in the building. I've never been to PRI. I'm looking forward to it for sure, but definitely going to be a good kickoff to the winter series. What do you think, man?
Oh, absolutely, man. PRI is basically if you're a fan of motorsports in general, it's literally you're a kid in a candy store in there. You can figure out all of the newest, latest, greatest stuff will be unveiled there. I mean, like Street Outlaws will unveil their cars there. Any sort of fancy part, like people put it under wraps. I know I was watching one of their deals the other day, and they were saying we can't show you in this room because we're doing some stuff for PRI that's only going to be unveiled at PRI. There's tons of sponsor reveals at PRI. Anything you can ever imagine that has to do with motorsports. It doesn't matter if you're into drag racing, circle track racing, drifting, go-karts, anything is all at PRI. So if you're a fan of motorsports at some point in your life, you need to figure out how to go to the performance racing industry trade show just to see it, man. Like it's literally, it's like a car show for parts, a car show for accessories, a car show for anything you read in National Dragster, Hot Rod Magazine, any of that stuff. Those people are all at PRI, and you might be on camera because Casey and George might be interviewing you.
Yeah, it's probably a good call out. I've got cameras ready to go. Got some GBR polos on the way so we can look a little bit professional and all that good stuff. Shout out EZMile Apparel for taking care of us at such short notice, by the way, and getting us squared up. But yeah, Casey, man, it's that time of year where the off season's there. I know all of us here at the GBR community, we've got something we're looking at doing for our operations. This is that stream. So what's going on? This question goes out pretty much to the whole stream, Casey. Any off-season plans for you? What you updating? Who you spending your money with and why? All that type of stuff. So what you got, Casey? You got anything you're looking forward to? Let's start with the Nova first. We'll circle back to fast Pontiac, the fire chicken. But let's talk about the Nova first. Old Blue.
The Nova. So Dad ended up selling his orange Nova, and I'm ended up getting the motor out of that car. So I'm gonna buy the motor out of that car. It's a little better piece than what I have in my car. My car is kind of a glorified street motor in there. It was literally, that's what I had. So I slapped everything together as cheap as possible. It's a good motor, but it's just, I feel like I'm in no man's land with it. I feel like it's fast enough where it can spin a tire, but it's not fast enough where it can force the car to work. So I've got it about as lined out as I can. And I mean, the other day I was at Coastal Plains and, it was repeating to the 60-foot, within a thou once I finally got things figured out. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out how to find, I couldn't find the tree. I was always like a few thou red or a few thou green, but I was mostly red all the time. And whenever I was red is when it mattered that I shouldn't have been red. So anyway, I'm going to put that motor in there. It's got a little bit more compression. It's got way better heads on it. I got the cheapest heads on my motor that I could literally find. I was just trying to, like I said, I was trying to slap a motor together. That was the cheapest thing I could get. That car is supposed to be my cheap car that's zero maintenance, which it was. It was zero maintenance this year. I adjusted, I want to say 3 valves. You know how I'm meticulous about all my maintenance stuff. So I'll check my valves. Everybody makes fun of me. I'll check my valves every time I go racing. I don't care if I made 3 runs or if I made 30 runs. I'll still check them because it takes 5 seconds. So there's no reason not to. And it's something to do whenever you're not doing anything else, literally something to do. And I enjoy doing that type of stuff. So that's the reason I really do it. Well, I may have adjusted like 3 valves, a thou or something all year. Other than that, they were pretty much all good. So which at the same time, that car shifts at 6,400 and it crosses at 6,400. So, I mean, it's never really getting on it at all. It's a good little motor. Honestly, what it would be really good for is it would be a really good motor to put in a street car that you just drive around town and run it on 93 octane because it's only 10-to-1 compression. It'd be great for that. It probably makes 500 horsepower on alcohol. It'd probably make about 450 or so on gas, 425, something like that. Maybe a little more. I don't know. I've never really messed with gas stuff, but right. I've always liked to sell it down, But yeah, so I'm doing that with the blue car. That's my plan.
I heard that, man. So tell me about the fast car, and then start us off with. Do you have an estimated time at which the fast car is going to be out and running?
I'm hoping springtime, man. Dad's building the chassis on that car. It's obviously in final assembly now. Uh, it's all been put back together. It's getting put together for final time. Got all the Lexan in it now. All the body panels are mounted, front end's mounted, everything. Hood's all set and everything now. I think the next step, Dad just sent me a list of stuff that he ordered today. So motor assembly time is next. Then we're going to end up going through wiring, which I have all that fuel tech stuff. So there's going to be a lot of wiring to do on it. So it's kind of all up to just what's he want to do, because it's all at his shop right now. I got to work for a living. His shop's 1,000 miles away. I can't just go out there and work on it. Unfortunately, I'd love to do it. If it was at my house, I'd probably have the motor together already, to be honest with you.
Right.
Honestly, the whole car, if I was there to help, the whole car probably would have been done. Maybe not in time to run this year, but maybe to have a couple shakedown runs to go over some things. Yeah. Of course, that being said, it takes money to really get stuff done. That's why it's been taking a while. This is a 2-year project so far, and it's going to run into 2.5 years, something like that. But once it's done, my goal with that car is I just want it to be, in my mind, the ultimate bracket racing car. Like, it may not be everybody else's idea of it, but that's what I've always wanted. That I've always liked fast door cars. It may not be what everybody else's idea is of the perfect car, but that's the reason why I'm taking longer, because I'm not taking shortcuts on it. I'm saying, I want this. If it takes longer to get it, then I'll just have to save up and get it. And that's why I have what I have on it. But ultimately, that car is exactly going to be what I want when it's finished. That's my goal.
Yeah, I got you, man. You want to give a few particulars? You want to save that for another show? I know they might know some of what you're going to have under the hood of that bad boy, as far as for power plant and transmission, all that good stuff. I don't know if you want to give out all those particulars, but now's the time, because I got plenty of questions surrounding what you're about to do.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a basic deal, man. It's kind of funny to say that, because back in the day that wasn't the case, but now it's a very basic deal. It's a 540 23 degree motor with F1X Pro Charger, 108-inch wheelbase, just tube chassis, pro stock style car, and realistically, my plan is to run 450 and 470 index with it, and then that, of course, won't, that's a thing that's out here on the East Coast, 450, 470 door car index stuff a lot. I'm hoping the 470 stuff gets, Verge is allowing that to kind of get a whole lot of wind behind the sails on that type of deal, because I think it's good for the spectators and it's fun for the racers, because you're fast enough where anymore it's pretty easy to buy horsepower. If you buy a blower or you have a good motor that you can put a little nitrous on and stuff, it's not terribly difficult to get to 470 anymore like it was 15, 20 years ago. Nowadays, it's easy to get to 470 with the door car. 450 is a little harder. You're not going to qualify for PDRA going 450 anymore. Right. So then that'll be what Dad's car's for, is doing right. Something like that, because Dad's car will handle anything you throw at it. That car, we could change maybe 3 or 4 things on it, and that car would certify to be an NHRA Pro Mod. Sure. But more than anything, what I want to do is I want to win some races with our stuff. Like, it's our chassis. It's Beckmeyer is on every single part of that car. Beckmeyer built the chassis, Beckmeyer builds the motors, Beckmeyer builds the transmissions. It's all our stuff. There's no high-end, fancy stuff on any of our cars that we paid someone else for. It's all our stuff. So I just feel like it means more to me to win with our stuff versus, in my mind, and this is stupid because winning's winning, but I don't know if it's just a mentality of growing up on a farm or whatever, or just having to, do life the way I've done it, where it's kind of like you do it all on your own type thing, with minimal help. But I just think it means so much more if you can win 1 race a year or 4 races a year. But if you win 1 race and you did it all yourself, and you say, I have to thank the people that are standing in this winner circle with me, and that's it, then what's that mean versus saying, I gotta, thank this, thank that, thank this for giving me the car, giving me the motor, giving me this, where you can say, man, I did it all on my own. I mean, that's cool. Like, obviously, we got to thank all the sponsors that have something to do with going bracket racing. They obviously really get us going and got us out there. But ultimately, everything on that car was assembled by hand by us.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean, though. Particularly surrounding, I know that car's going to run driven racing oil. I know it's going to have some ProForm parts on it. Syntex is probably going to do the stickers, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? You're going to use Crew Chief Pro to see what you need to dial or slow down or speed up based on you running some type of an index. You're going to need it anyway, right? So, not to say that we don't thank the sponsors, especially here at marketing partners, I should say, here at Going Bracket Racing, but more so what you're saying is you get to thank the legacy in the drag racing world that actually got you into the sport in the first place. As you know, I understand exactly what you're saying. Not personally, right? My dad didn't completely build Mo. He just reconfigured Mo to the nines, right? But my dad's personally built, I think 4 or 5 cars now that are 100% built by himself. So I think I know exactly what you mean, where one of these days our grandkids will flip through a record book of bracket racers, because, we're going to have one of those one of these days, like it or not. Somebody's going to finish up a record book eventually. And it's going to say Beckmeyer chassis or whatever the name of your car is tagged. Or it's going to say George Atchison race car. Hey, I'm George, and there's a race car named in the same name as me. Do you understand? I understand what you mean by the legacy part. You're getting a chance to leave a piece of Beckmeyer inside of drag racing, like it or not. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. Well, it's like this is really what I was trying to say right here. Is Old Racer over here says it shows normal people can do it, and Fixing Used Race Cars says you are showing that the garage builder is still relevant. And that's
100%.
exactly what I meant by that statement. Was I don't want everybody to think that you have to go out and have millions of dollars to be able to race like people race, because there are a lot of people out there doing that, but you don't need to do that.
Yeah,
you just do that because you choose to.
I feel
Nick
like
Hastings is a perfect example of somebody who's probably won over $1 million in his career, but he's doing it in a car that realistically, I mean, what he has on it now, it's a different story. But I mean, realistically, if he went to sell that car, if you didn't know who Nick Hastings was, that car's worth like $15,000.
Right. 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 LS Power Planted car that just does its job. But man, I really feel like, in taking your cue from Old Racer here, or whichever, I think it may have been Fixing Used Race Cars that said, showing that the garage builder still is relevant. That's 100%. But Casey, if you can think back in the beginning of GBR, kind of moving on up through maybe within the first year that we started actually doing this podcast, vlog, whatever you want to call it, we always talked about the constant comment of name brand. What on earth does that mean? I understand. Can we just start saying most popular or something? Yeah. Because name brand this isn't Gucci versus Versace or Versace versus Louis Vuitton. This ain't that, right? So everybody has their own spin as to how they want to make their vehicle go down the track. Does it work for everybody else? Well, maybe it does and maybe it doesn't. That's the preference part. So we're basically highlighting the fact that a garage builder can be name brand as well. As a matter of fact, they are named brand. So pick a different way of describing that you want an American or a Ultra Tech or whatever you're going to spend $125,000 on, right?
Yeah, man. No, that's true. And I think that the problem is the general perception. The general perception is when you see a lot of people like 66 Lane over here saying it also. It gets harder to compete, though, with the cars that are sponsored for sure. That's true. Supercomp says agreed. That's true. And that kind of goes back to last week's conversation of the can you win with a single entry versus a double entry. My answer to that, you should go watch last week's episode and really get in depth with all of that stuff. But ultimately, yeah, it is more difficult, but it is possible, and that's really what I want to show more than anything. Is I just want to show that you don't need to have the best of the best of the best, or what is perceived as the best of the best, because
Perception.
what I always try to tell people, I am not even close to the smartest person on the planet with race cars. I'm far from it. But what I can tell you is every part that I've had an issue with, I've learned how to fix it. And eventually I will know how to do all of that stuff. And one day, whoever you're buying stuff from, whoever you're talking to about it, whoever's helping you, if they're not around, and they won't be around all the time. I'm not talking about, oh, they're dead and gone. I'm not talking about their business will close down. I'm talking about one day you're going to need them and you're not going to be able to get them on the phone, or they're not going to be there or whatever, and you're going to be on your own. And what are you going to do at that point? Because you're just going to not go up for the round? You're just going to go up there and Hail Mary it and hope for the best? Because that's all your options are, because you don't know what you're doing. So you have to learn.
It's a fact, man. It's a fact, and I'm kind of piggybacking on 66 Lane now over here on the YouTube side there. But he's saying there's $50,000 cars that will come out and run for $1,000. Yeah, there's also that's a very valid statement. But you can put myself in said $50,000 car and say one of the bigger name drivers in my truck, and the winning percentage probably will go up higher on my truck and lower on their car. So it's all about them doing it. We've had that conversation too. I don't want to kind of push that conversation even further forward than what it already is. But you got to be in it to win it, number one. And honestly, I don't care what you show up to the party with. You've got a chance at winning. And that's the moral of the story here. Yes, it gets frustrating when you look into the lane next to you, let me take that back. It's one of two feelings happen. One, frustration because there's a car in the other lane that looks better than yours. It costs more money than yours. It's got a better motor, a better transmission, better delay box, better wing, better wheels, better slicks. I can keep going. It doesn't matter. The driver has on Sparko and a perfect helmet with awesome gloves and a Hans device. I can keep going. I can name all of that, right? And in the end of the day, the second feeling, you can still crack their skull. Because that's my thought. I don't care what you're driving. Come catch me if you're slower than I am, or you better not let me get on you by a certain amount down the track. Is my other thought. So, hey man, it's all about confidence in the grand scheme of things anyway.
Well, Bracket Racer 9662 is responding to that. He says they can win 10 races a year and spend more money than me not winning. And that's the truth too. That's what people forget about in that whole deal. $50,000 race car needs to win $50,000 races to be able to pay for itself. Whereas a lot of people can go out there, you can buy a pretty decent hardtail dragster right now for probably 15 grand. That'll go out there and go 480s, 470s, and you can go dominate your local track with that thing. And you win 2 or 3 of those races, and you're getting a lot more positive than a lot of the guys out there right now. And there's really, a lot of the guys that I see racing out here in Footbreak are doing it right, because there's a lot of street cars out here doing it Brett Kepner style out here. And Thurman Warren's the first one I think of, because I don't know how long he just has a street truck, Silverado, short cab, short bed Silverado. And he goes out there and wins just as many rounds as anybody, and drives there, drives home, has AC when he's in the staging lanes. It's way more comfortable seats. Every windows roll down electronically. It's who's to say that's not the right way to do things, because you're just as competitive, clearly.
Obviously, man. Obviously. And hopefully to steer things back into the conversation that we're going to have today, I'm going to use this conversation that we're currently having to take away some parts. What are those drivers doing in the off season? What are they upgrading within their racing operations? Are they not doing anything because they got it all? Some of them might not do anything, but I can guarantee you most of them are going to hit this bad boy right here. This thing right here.
And they'll probably not be doing it like you upside down.
Not upside, and even still, I could probably go double O just like this too, right? Right. But this thing right here. So if you're watching, we are in the winter series. This will be outside of my race car here before too long, and I'll hook it up and use my actual trans brake button. Dust off your old practice trees. Get them ready because it's time to start hitting this bad boy right here. Hit this thing over the wintertime with me. I'm going to be hitting it. Casey's going to be hitting it. Maybe we'll find some type of game to play as a community here at GBR, or post your best spread and see if your buddy can beat it, something of that nature, man. We can figure out a way to have some fun. So hang in there real quick, guys. It's a great time to give our marketing partners a chance to get some things across to you. We will be back with more in just a moment. Thank you.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
Here's the skinny on the ProForm Slim Fit radiator systems. They are the industry's first and only 4-inch thick radiator system. That's the radiator plus the shroud plus the fan combined. A complete unit that's up to 40% thinner than others on the market. Fully assembled for performance out of the box. Eliminate the stress and frustration that comes as precious weekend hours are lost trying to upgrade your cooling system with major space constraints. The Slim Fit system utilizes 2 patented pieces of technology, allowing for a seamlessly integrated radiator system with a 3rd tank in the center of the radiator where the high-performance fan motor is installed inside the core, not hanging off the shroud. The coolant can flow all the way through the radiator, eliminating dead space. And it looks especially great under the hood. Sleek angles, eye-catching perforations, and a smooth aluminum shroud complete the streamlined 4-corner design that defines style and a well-put-together engine bay.
TSR Racing Products has everything you need to make your Power Glide Turbo 350, Turbo 400, and 727 transmissions the best they can be on the street or at the track. With exceptional products, customer service, and over 30 years of experience, TSR Racing Products is always available to help their customers with any of their transmission needs. In-house machining ensures you only receive the best products from TSR Racing. Visit TSR Racing Products at tsr-racing.com or give them a call at 800-394-5889.
Get them fired up and get them to the staging lanes, baby, because EZMile Apparel is now carrying Glowing Bracket Racing merch. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more can be yours today by visiting EZMileApparel.com. We appreciate each and every one of you guys supporting the Glowing Bracket Racing YouTube and Facebook pages.
All right. Welcome back, Glowing Bracket Racing community. Thanks for being part of our community here at Glowing Bracket Racing. Thank you to all our partners for everything that you do and everything you provide for our sport. Casey, man, as we get back into the conversation, dude, lots of great comments while we were out on the commercial break here. One in particular I seen out of Kendall Jones. He said that Flash ain't winning races. You doggone right it ain't, man. The Flash is not what's taking care of you cutting a light, or you driving the finish line right, or you having an understanding of what your car is going to do for that round because you've logged your book right, or you've logged the computer right. Whatever you're using to track that race car, the Flash ain't what's doing it. The brain in there is what's doing it, guys. Let's not get that twisted. We do need good stuff to compete in our sport, though, Casey, man. So I do understand, you know, and I'm sure everybody else does too, why we would have a GBR episode that states what are you spending your money on in the winter season, basically. So
yeah. So speaking of that, George, you haven't told us what you're spending your cash on this this winter season, man, because it's about Christmas time. Might need to buy old George some presents.
Yeah, man. Send them on my way, guys. I'm broke. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I've really been paying attention to the numbers on Crew Chief Pro and watching Mo pretty closely at around the 330 mark. Kind of similar to what you were saying about your Nova. Man, I could repeat the 60 to the thou. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing I want to change, leaving it and going to 60 feet. I get out there around that 330 and I can see a little bit of variance, sometimes up to around 100. And that's just a little too much for my liking. And so, with that being said, I started to watch the fallback on my converter and noticed a few discrepancies. So, I haven't decided which route I'm going to go, man. I'm kind of looking at everybody as to who's going to end up being the converter underneath Mo next year. I think I'm going to step on that just a tad and come out with a new converter. That's going to be the biggest, I think the biggest step I'll take, with a few other things that are kind of looming in the background as potentials. We talk about this all the time. We always want to capture the knowledge that those who taught us what to do in the sport in the first place have. That being said, if you've watched Going Bracket Racing you understand that my family is quite good with the mechanical fuel injection. And so it is a very good chance that I'll wind up with a fuel-injected 368 small block Chevy. Looking to pick up, if the math is right, looking to pick up a little bit of ET. And if you notice, I'm not going to tell you how much because I just don't think that it's appropriate at this point in time. I don't want to put a guess out there and then disappoint myself and you guys. Actually, I don't care if you guys are disappointed or not. I'm pretty sure you're going to watch anyway, as far as for it to see if I give it back or if I go red or if I missed whatever the case. I'll do something goofy anyway. But those are probably some of the bigger changes you'll see out of my equipment. Next to me, just getting flat after it with the tree. I'm going to be after it, Casey. I'm telling you that now. There'll probably be days I'll have 200 and 300 hits on my practice tree. Feel like I lost touch with my finger just a little bit, even though I know it's still there. It ain't as sharp as what I think it should be. So we're gonna rein in on that. That's what I'm spending my time, money, and my sweat on this off season so far.
I'll tell you something. That's actually something I had in mind also as far as the practice tree deal goes, because I did a 1-to-1 comparison last year. Well, not last winter, but the winter prior. Remember, you and I, every day we hit 25 hits and then we would race each other kind of. I had that little deal figured out where we could race each other to see who won.
Yep.
Well, I hit the tree way better that year than I did this year, and I didn't do it at all this year to kind of have a 1-to-1 comparison. Now, that being said, whenever I was younger, man, whenever I was really, in my mind, was a lot better than I am now, I never hit the tree, ever, because I didn't have one, Well, we had one, but we never hit it. But anyway, my main thing that I'm planning on doing this winter is I need to figure out some better storage in my trailer, because I don't have cabinets. I don't have any of that stuff. And I had a bunch of those Home Depot totes you can get, the yellow and black totes. I had those. I have them strung, on the floor. And I had a real good system where I could stack them up. But then every time you need something, you got to open this one, dig all through it. I'll open that one, dig all through it. Well, that wasn't, that was a pain, but that wasn't that big of a deal. And now I finally got a golf cart. And now I got fuel jugs over here, battery chargers thrown in there, and an air tank in there. And then I got a floor jack over here and jack stands. And now I got my totes over here. And now I got stuff slung everywhere all the time. And it takes me forever to load back up to get back home after I get done racing. I feel like I'm cleaning my whole garage out every single time that I'm going racing. So I need to figure out a better storage system for my trailer, man. I need to get me some cabinets. I need to get something that is more permanent. I might need to call old Tough Paw.
Tough Paw get you squared up. You know that's a fact. You know me, I don't even have a trailer, so you have to go into the back of my truck to get anything. And good luck. It's a maze, but you can make your way to the back and to the front without hurting yourself if you're lucky. You scrape your knee on my generator, and it's not my fault. It's just there. That's where it lives. You didn't look. Okay, you missed it. But I'm gonna take this one from 66 Lane. He says, "Will fuel injection be more consistent?" And 66 Lane, man, that conversation is worse than big blocks versus Chevys, in my opinion.
Big blocks versus small blocks.
Big block versus small block, Ford versus Chevy was what I was trying to get out there. But I think anything is as consistent as the person who knows how to work it, in my opinion. And like I said, just feel like my family, my dad and my uncle, they have a really, really good understanding of what to do with that type of a system. I've now gained quite a bit of knowledge in the carburetor side of things, where it's time for me to gain some knowledge in that fuel injection side of the game. Definitely don't want that knowledge escaping, and would like to capture it for myself in the future. George's future, myself, and my son George's future in racing as well. So, great question though, man. I do think, personally though, I think fuel injection is more consistent than carburetor. I said it, I meant it. That is just how it goes. Yep.
I think the main advantage to the injection systems, be it EFI or MFI, is the fact that you can individually tune each cylinder. Whereas with the carburetor, you'll always have a lean cylinder, you always have a fat cylinder. That's just the nature of how carburetors work. I don't know if I'd say one's more consistent than the other. I would say that if you know what you're doing with either one, you can make either one just as good. For example, remember all the years that the guy who owns Killer Runs now, James Monroe, there's a reason they called him Killer James. I mean, he destroyed everybody for years and years and years in the Midwest area, in the Indiana area. And I want to say was actually the very first Division III top dragster champion.
I do believe so. Yep.
But, of course, there's obviously the majority of racers win with carburetors, but that's just simply because I think the majority of racers race with carburetors. 10 years from now, I think you're going to see the majority of racers win with EFI.
Yeah,
because people are learning that.
I think you're right about that. It's kind of a wave. I was talking to my good buddy Brad Gephardt, and he's thinking that possibly the fuel injection, the mechanical fuel injection, could be on its way out. I hope not. I'm not going to let it go out either way it goes. You know what I mean? I want that knowledge. If I were to pull out my dad's logbook and show everybody on this stream, you would understand why I want the knowledge. It's not someone has tapped George on his shoulder and said, "Hey George, go run a fuel injection and we'll give you this much." Nah, man, there's a method to the madness. You know what I mean? So, as you stated, Casey, it's a matter of who. If I didn't have my uncle and my dad to go to about fuel injection, would I go to a manual fuel injection setup? Probably not. Okay, I don't know enough about it myself yet. So that to kind of bolster what you said there and piggyback off what you said, that's definitely my move. So
yeah, no, it's just a matter of what works for you. What do you know how to do? What do you want to learn how to do? Because don't forget, you don't need to necessarily know how to do anything. The one thing that you can always do in life is learn how to do something new. If you're really concerned about it and want to put your mind to it, you need to learn how to do something. You don't need to ask somebody how to do something all the time. It's always nice to be steered in the correct direction, but if you're truly interested in something, you can learn it on your own and you can learn how to do it. And guess what? If you learn how to do it and someone else wants it, you can sell that idea to someone else. And that's what people forget about nowadays. You don't have to follow what everybody else is doing. You can do your own thing and you can still win doing that. It might take a little longer to get there, but you can do it. And ultimately, the one thing no one can take away from you is the knowledge in your head. No matter what you have in life, you will always have the knowledge in your head.
Right. And Casey, man, as we're on this conversation, you're about to step into something that you've never done with the whole thought process of F1 blower. I think you said F1, right? As far as for the Pro Charger.
Pro Charger deal?
Yeah. So you're stepping into something new too. So there's a lot of people out here who tell you that those pro-charged and cars that create their own atmosphere, those cars are more consistent at the same time. So it's still going to be a matter of who's dealing with it. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, exactly, man. It's the thing about power adders nowadays is it's just so easy to go fast. As the blower is expensive. Once you have the blower, you can go fast with anything. It doesn't matter anymore. Everything's fast now. Like, you could put a Pro Charger on a 350 small block and make 750 horsepower, no problem. Like it's just not hard anymore once you have that main part. And as long as you don't abuse that part, it'll last for pretty much forever.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, like you said, I don't know about that thing either. I might be going the wrong route. A lot of the top dragster, top sportsman cars are all centrifugal superchargers now. So I don't think I'm going the wrong route. But either way, I think it's like I was going back to saying earlier, if you figure something out, it works. And my whole goal with that car was I want to have a fast bracket car. I want to have a fast bracket door car. That's what I want. I've always wanted that. I finally saved up enough where I could do it throughout all these years, and I'm going to have one. And at the end of the day, I don't care as much about winning rounds as I did 20 years ago. I care more about making the car better, improving the car, figuring out little intricacies as to why did it not work this time? Why didn't it work that time? And the thing is, learning all that stuff and figuring all that stuff out will inevitably make you win more rounds. Because I know I can let go. I know I can do that. That's the one thing you can practice at home to begin with. And most people can let go. Either the car or the driver going down the track is usually what loses the race. There aren't a lot of races anymore lost on the starting line because that's the one thing you can practice at your house efficiently. You can't practice driving the stripe, and you can't practice making the car be consistent, at home. You can't do that. You have to be at the track.
Right. Here's a comment out of Cody Newman, and it's kind of pretty interesting, I thought, too. Another thing that you might want to spend a little bit money on during the off season is spare parts. I know that I'm doing that right now. And that's another reason I thought about getting a converter. There's nothing wrong with my converter, but at least I would then have two in case I ever need a spare. But Cody says here, the problem with EFI right now is finding parts at the track, like a TBS goes bad or something. So that's why I mentioned having spare parts, Casey, because EFI, man, good luck. You're going to have to find somebody who has it. EFI, the same type of EFI as you likely, and then on top of that has the spare part that you need. Whereas everybody knows you can go to your neighbor most likely and just peck on the door and say, hey, I need a Holly jet. You got the methanol jets in there? And chances are somebody has some jets, right?
That's true, man. That's one thing about fuel injection right now, and that probably won't be the case in the future. But right now, man, one injector, if say you got a bad injector or a dirty injector or something, because that's a very small orifice. It doesn't take a big amount of trash to clog one of those injectors up. So you either have to be able to have the ability to clean that right there and be done with it and understand what you're doing, or you have to have spare injectors. Well, those injectors are like $250 a piece. Right. And some of these cars, like some of these blown cars and stuff, they'll have 16 of those. They'll have over and under injectors. Even MFI cars have had that for a lot of years. Those blower cars back in the day, like remember Nasty Habit at Gateway? I want to say he had over and under injectors. That was MFI stuff. But the thing is like, you're exactly right. Not to mention, I have all of the electronics on my new car to go to fuel injection eventually if I want to. And that was my goal, is to have something you can build upon, because ultimately I think it's going to go that route. But to go that route is going to be, now you have to have coil on plugs. So you have to have 8 coils. Now you have to have all the injectors. So minimum, you need to have 8 injectors. That stuff, when they're $250 an injector, that makes a big, big difference. That's like building a whole new bracket car half the time to convert to fuel injection.
Right. especially on the EFI side of things, in my opinion.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
And everybody said it. Like I said, a good buddy of mine, Brad Gephardt, is saying, well, mechanical fuel injection is kind of phasing its way out. I'm not 100% sure that it's going anywhere yet, but if it is, eventually there's going to be quite a few spare nozzles and injector hats and pills, whatever you need. They're all going to be right there on Drag Race Results Classified for you to snag up, probably for a dime a dozen. So, if they are going out, it looks like I'm going to be spending a little bit more money if they're going out, because I'll probably have a full couple of systems of MFI. So, yeah, man, that's just a little taste, though, man. I was hoping to hear a little bit more out of what some of you other guys had going on for the off season in the chat. It looks like the YouTube chat is kind of buzzing there. What do you see, Casey?
66 lane. It's hard to hit the practice tree footbrake race at Nova Fan. You can't stall a car up at the house and hit the tree. I've said that so many times I can't even count probably on this show. People are probably getting tired of me saying that, because I tried my hand at footbrake racing this year, and that's the one thing that I learned, was that you can't practice footbrake racing at home. You can practice hitting the tree with your foot with one of those, reaction time pedals, but that's not stalling the car up. That's not holding the car to consistent RPM. I guess if you're a bottom bulber that can use the button, yeah, you can practice that at home. But out here in the Southeast, we like to real bottom bulb race with the foot brake, and that's the way that it should be, in my opinion. And I beat that dead horse to death. But at the end of the day, man, foot brake racing, not that I didn't have respect for those guys to begin with, because I have respect for all racers, but I gained a lot more respect for the foot brake racers than I had previously, because foot brake racing, in my opinion, is way harder than top bulb racing. And other than the fact that I guess foot brake racing was always the lower level, entry level class, where you didn't have to spend as much money on the car and you didn't have to spend as much money on the entry fee, et cetera, I don't understand why the elite races aren't more foot brake races. I don't understand why the World Foot Brake Challenge and things like that at Kohlberg, I don't understand why they're the only people putting on these mega money foot brake races, because in my mind, there should be more of a draw. If you really think you're the best racer out there, I've seen a lot of guys that dominate the top bulb category get flown in and put in somebody's foot brake car that is a winning car. They don't get it done. The only person that's ever done that, there's two people that come to my mind. Three, actually. Rick Bear, Nick Hastings, Ernie Humes. Those are the only people that I've seen cross over successfully multiple times.
Sure. I'll go
and
with
Kevin Pollard, I guess.
Yeah, and I'll go with oh shoot, I can't call his name right now for some reason. Won the first 500K race out there at SFG. Gage Birch. I think he can kind of cross over and be pretty dangerous on both as well. So, yeah, dude, that I can't say I've gained or lost any respect for foot braking. It is something, however, that is I'm itching to try again. And wouldn't mind. I want to try it in an actual race car as opposed to my tow truck that's sitting outside. I'll stage that joker up too if I had to, but wouldn't mind letting go off the bottom. I'm a little fearful of stalling it up 2900 on the FTI like Fitcham did. Hey, speaking of Fitcham, he was actually doing some footage this past weekend. If you didn't get a chance to catch it. And I actually saw a round of racing where Fitcham knew he was 00. And I think the other old boy might have been 45. And it happens, guys. And Fitcham is going to show you just straight up. You can look out the window and see it. But what happens sometimes when we get down there to the finish line is we think we actually killed enough when we didn't. Fitcham ended up taking a little too much to be under by about 3 thou. I think there might have been 6 cars left, so he said he was going to go cry at the end of that video, and I kind of crying for him because that was definitely his race to win right there. But definitely one of another really good foot breaker out there that I think needs a little bit more attention. Head over there and watch that 2900 on the FTI. He had a couple of really good videos. Anyway,
hey, you can. And if you want to see me do that, you can watch Loose Rockers race in about March or something. You can just wait for Ryan Leghorn to say, Oh, Casey, we just talked about this because I was 00 and my man was 70, and I looked back and I said, man, he must be running high gear only. And I looked forward and I looked back, and as I was looking back, I saw the cone go by me and I said, whoops. And I was 2,000 under, and he's 70 and probably a million above. And I'm over here being an idiot. But I mean, everybody does that, man. It's just not always on Motor Mania. That's the thing. It's like everybody, you know, it's just racing. That's what happens with racing. Sometimes knowing what's going on during the race can actually inhibit you from winning the race.
Yep.
It's because just like that, if I say I was 16 at the time, if I was 16, I never would have thought, oh man, that guy's probably high gear only. I would have said, man, he's way back there.
Yeah,
Womp, and I'd have easily won that race.
Yep.
But the round prior to that, had I been same 16-year-old Casey in that mindset, I would have lost that round all day long and wouldn't have had the opportunity to look like a moron, because I would have never have been in that round, because that's why I won that round, was because I knew what was going on in the race and I knew what was happening because of what I was dialed. Sure. So, you know, there's pluses and minuses to everything. But I mean, ultimately, the reason you see guys win week in and week out is because they're at the races. You got to be in it to win it. You got to be running as many entries as you can. You got to be racing as much as possible. The more you race, the more you win. If you win every 10th race and you can run 10 races in 2 weeks, then you're going to win a race every 2 weeks. If you win 10 races and you race 10 races a year, you're going to win once a year. I mean, it's simple math.
Right. There's old Lucian Payne. He's going to be spending a little bit of money for off-season expenses, 4 new tires, transmission getting gone through, AccuSump, bellies and window net research. Belts and I need belts in my car too, so I better add that to my expense too. But
Troy Abercrombie, I saw he's out there in my old stomping grounds out there in Denver right now. I don't know if he's on vacation or going to Madcap or what.
Got you. That's pretty neat, man. So now, guys, as we get ready to move into the Winter Series, we have to let you know next Tuesday, Casey and I will be off. We won't have a live stream for Going Bracket Racing in preparation of PRI. Hopefully we'll be able to capture some good footage, maybe get you guys a little bit of an inside view of what happens at PRI. We won't go live. It's kind of noisy in there, and it's fairly sparse to get a good internet connection. So you're not going to have a good internet.
Depending on what's going on and what everything's going on after the show, if we find some downtime, we might do a quick live video from the hotel or something like that.
Yeah, or a walk-in live video, like something short, kind of quick hitter to get you guys to see as we enter into it. And looking forward to it, Casey, man. I know it's been a couple years since me and you ran around in the same circle in the first place. I think your wedding might have been the last time, and we know how that got. So anyway, we'll see what we can conjure up for this coming PRI. A lot of guys going there. Looks like Drag Racer 4809. Looking forward to PRI show as well. Looking forward to PRI show footage. Oh, okay. He's gonna look forward to the footage. Anybody going? If you see us, stop us. Say what's up. Say hi. You know, we might be live. Wave to the camera as if you're on the news or something. Hey, I'm on the news. Do it. We don't care. I don't care. Casey doesn't care. So, yeah, man. So we'll be off, and then we'll kick off Winter Series the following Tuesday. Maybe a recap of PRI, and hopefully get some guests starting to come in around that time to where we can talk some drag racing in the off season. So if you got anybody you want to see on the show, feel free to message us on Facebook or the YouTube and drop a name, and we'll try to get them on the show. Casey, what you got before we get out of here?
No, man, just as always, like you said, basically just anybody who sees us at PRI, give us a shout. Hopefully we get to meet a lot of guys out there, and if not, we'll definitely get a lot of footage for you guys. I think you'll be interested to see what we're coming up with. I got a couple ideas. Realistically, I got a lot of interviews I want to do simply because of my own selfishness, wanting to know what I want to know. But I'm sure what I want to know is what a lot of other people want to know. So definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, like and share, as Fincham says. He says a little different, but that's his thing. But yeah, man, other than that, we'll see you at some point next week.
Yeah, take it easy, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you.